Hello everyone. Sorry it's been a while. I've just been busy with like everything else in my life going on right now, my PhD and everything else, like work and everything. I made this video today in the most horrendous way. So I'm in my pajamas. I've not done my hair, and I look really bloated today because I had a bit of a cheat day yesterday. But I'm still keeping the weight off, which is good. But that's not what I'm talking about today. So today I'm talking about Iron Musket's most recent video, which was titled "Binge Eating is Ruining My Life." I'll put the link in the description below. And some things I wanted to say, like regarding the things he said in the video, and he sort of talks about how he's responsible for the binge eating himself, and I do agree with him. So I myself have binge eating, that for a fact on this channel. I talk about it quite a lot. I keep looking at myself in this damn camera. Stupid. I use an iPad camera. Sorry, I'll just do this for a second. So anyway, binge eating. I'll put my hand down. I look weird. So binge eating itself, yes, it is something that you are responsible for. It's within you, yes. But at the same time, it's also something that's very hard, very hard to control. As Greg Doucette says, physical hunger is ghrelins punching you in the face, and mental hunger, it can be a range of things. Like Iron Musket addresses, he talks about how actually sometimes you can binge eat when you feel fantastic, and you feel great, wonderful, fantastic, great, yeah, China. You can feel great, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, if you feel amazing and you binge eat, you stop feeling amazing afterwards because you just binge ate, which is the sucky part of the whole kind of cycle. But he talks about this, the binging itself. It's a form of masking. It's like masking oneself from the negative feelings, address negative feelings through a negative response, if you like. And it's breaking that chain. And so I've had CBT for my binge eating disorder, and I've generally found it quite useful. I recall back to the therapy itself, and I kind of have these things that happen. So if I'm triggered to binge eat, I might just remember something I did in therapy that I did to sort of break that cycle. And for me, it's meditation. And some people would say, well, it's a bit laborious having to meditate for 2 minutes every time you feel like binge eating. But you know what? It's saved me a few times now. Like, it's definitely saved me a fair bit, and I recommend it. Now, of course, as well, he talks about how they recommended intuitive eating, and I was also very skeptical of intuitive eating. Right, so I did intuitive eating for a month, I believe. So I did it whilst I was doing CBT, just for a period of time between sessions, and the whole point of it was to kind of get me to eat normally and eat within the confines of my sort of appetite, if you like. And then I think one good thing that happened as a result of the CBT is that whilst I was doing the intuitive eating, something interesting happened. So I started to actually eat healthily. I started to crave fruit and vegetables, and I stopped craving crap. And the reason for that, I believe, is because basically I started to do moderation. I would have a bag of crisps with my lunch. I would have, chips if you're American. Sorry, don't get me started on chips and crisps. It's a British person that drives me crazy, but don't worry about it. I'm not going to go into that right now. I'd have a chocolate bar, but I'd also be like, I fancy a piece of fruit, so I'd have a piece of fruit with it. And I've never been a fruit person before, but now I eat apples like by the dozen. So there is some benefits to intuitive eating for a short period of time, but I personally believe that if you're a binge eater, intuitive eating only works for a short period of time, and you have to find other methods of trying to lose the weight. So right now I'm doing calorie control. I just adjusted my mustache there, as you probably noticed. But yeah, so I recommend the Iron Musket, please do the CBT. I think it's important. And I know as a man it can be something that does come across a little strange, right? You, as a man, we're kind of reluctant to kind of address these things in therapy or go to therapy. And I think the reason for that is basically because men aren't encouraged to talk about their feelings so much. And when men do talk about their feelings, oftentimes we are trivialized and turned into memes. For example, Will Smith in that particular video with his wife, and that was a little while now, back in the pandemic, he sits down with Jada Pinkett Smith, and there's that image, that footage of him where he looks like he's crying. Actually, he had dry eyes, and he addresses that later on in a different thing. But the thing is, so he had dry eyes and became a meme. Will Smith crying became a meme. So it's like men's pain is always treated like a joke in mass media, in society as a whole. But we need to break down that kind of barrier. And like, if you do feel pain as a man, you need to address that pain in some way, shape or form. And if your specialists and doctors are recommending you do CBT, I wholly recommend it myself from my personal perspective. And I think we need to try and do that to break down these barriers that we do have that kind of hold us back from addressing our issues. So that's the important message I wanted to get across today. So Iron Musket, if you do watch this, please seek the therapy. It will help. And the intuitive eating, do it for as long as you need to do it for, or don't do it at all. It's up to you. I mean, I don't think it necessarily helps everybody, but it helped me personally get through my thing. What are the notes that I make here? So yeah, and I know the physique thing too. He talks about how he was at his lowest weight, 155, which I've never been at personally. I've never been at. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2". The lightest I've ever been was 230 pounds maybe. I looked pretty good. And I kind of regret it because I was 230 pounds at one point in my life, and basically, life happens, and relationships happen, relationships break down, relationships you put weight on anyway. Sometimes you don't actually have to, as I know now as an adult, but at the time I didn't know that. But I put weight on in that relationship, and it's been very hard for me to get the weight off ever since. But I've really got a hold of my binge eating. I've really got a hold of the negative things that have kind of held me back over the years, and I'm just seeing a therapist now, but it's more counselling therapy rather than CBT. So I recommend a counselling therapist to someone you go and talk to about these different things, to find the root of these issues and pursue them, find those little threads, and then grab them and pull along the little thread, if you like. For some reason I'm using weird metaphors today. And yes, living alone, like you said, living away from your family does make it easier with trigger foods and stuff, because I live in my own flat. With my PhD, I've got a stipend. I can pay for a flat just. Don't get me started on that. I don't want to talk about that too much. So, but I pay for a flat just, it makes it easier for me. I don't have to buy any trigger food, so I can buy certain. So I still eat chocolate. I still have the odd crisps. I have Wotsits, probably called something else in America. I think they're probably Cheetos. But I know in America as well, the crisp packets, the chip packets are much bigger than they are here. Like these Wotsit packets are like this. They're quite small, but they fill the hole. If that makes sense. I eat Whisper bars too, which is the lowest calorie chocolate for me, which is just a solid chocolate. And I think the most important thing I wanted to raise as well is being kind to yourself. So please be kind to yourself, and acknowledge that it's going to take you time. It's going to take you time, and it's okay to fail on the journey. I failed on my journey plenty of times, and I'm still working through the body dysmorphia and the kind of cycle of body dysmorphia and binge eating. So for example, I would look at my body, and still do now in this camera. I'm looking at my face right now, and I don't like the way my face looks. But I'm just going to go and address that afterwards. So I'm looking at myself in this camera now. I don't like what I see. So I'm now thinking to myself, but I go through life with this face, and this face has got me through lots of things in my life. So I should probably just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes that's the thought that I have. That's CBT working. That's the behaviour that I'm addressing. I'm noticing my behaviour. I'm addressing it right now. And I've realised as I'm doing this video and as I'm going through it, I'm liking my face more and more. Not liking it, but I'm just getting more neutral towards it, because I'm just talking to you, the camera, the people at home, right? So that's the important thing. Of course, I keep looking at myself every now and then. It's kind of hard not to. With an iPad, you kind of hear all the time. Let's not go into that. It's just really pointless technical stuff. But yeah, what I want to really address is the whole issue of being kind to yourself. And acknowledging that these things, they do take time to work through. I myself have worked through a lot of things in my life, and I think the therapy itself has been really helpful. And I can certainly relate to the sort of experiences that Iron Musket has had. I mean, obviously I'm in Britain and he's in America, but I too also have a white father and a black mother. So I've dealt with institutional racism in the United Kingdom, and explicit racism too, where I've had one experience in my life where I was attacked by somebody because of the colour of my skin and the way I look. And I've also had to deal with the fact that I'm not very dark, so I also get questioned when I'm in certain spaces and doing certain things. So there's a lot of I think for mixed race people generally, and this is now me talking on another macro level, I suppose, we do have to deal with different barriers, I suppose, and I can relate to him. So I'm reaching out to the Iron Musket. If you want to talk to me on a more personal level, if you want to, collaborate on a video, or just talk, chat, chill, and I'm here. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I'm happy to talk about my experiences. I'm happy to talk to you about therapy. I'm happy to talk to you about medication, because I'm not actually taking medication for my binge eating. I've actually managed to not avoid that, but yeah, I mean, it's something I'd like to talk about. I think it'd be interesting to have that discussion with him if he's interested, but obviously that's up to him. So thank you very much for watching. I hope, Iron Musket, if you do see this, that you take some of what I've said on board, just as a bit of guidance, I guess. And yeah, have a splendid day, all of you, and I will see you very soon. Also, like and subscribe. There's a little button down there, I believe you can press, which you can do that if you want to. Peace and chicken grease, homies.